Today I'm going to be going through a Rinus Michels replication that I've made on Football Manager. So, obviously you can't get everything to work with Football Manager, so I think the best thing to do is just to try, go through, do some research and trying to find out, why the tactic was used in the first place, and then trying to get some of the basic principles that were going on in the tactic, and then trying to see how you can apply it to the game. The reason I like doing these replications is because generally I always learn how to do something new on the game. This time I've gone through a lot of positional switching, which I haven't really used much before. So what I'm going to do is just go through the principles, go through how I've applied to the game. These are the principles that I've come up with. So what we're looking for is a fluid 4-3-3 with the possibility of any player advancing, positional switching, and particularly amongst the wide players. So when I say that, I don't mean player swapping, just mean as one player moves into one space, another player will move into there. A roaming forward who can come deep to form a diamond. We've got a high pressing line to keep the opponents in their half. An offside trap, that's mostly just to sort of push the players up and reduce the playable area behind the defence. And then we're going to look to be winning the ball in the opposition's half. So obviously with that higher line, it's one of the weaknesses could be hit on a counter attack. So it's quite essential that you have defenders with good acceleration. And then the other trouble is as well the whole sort of outlook of the squad. You're going to need quite high attributes, passing, off the ball, etc., to actually make the tactic work anyway. So as you can see, we just line up in a regular 4-3-3 or 4-1-2-3 or whatever you want to call it. And so we're just going to go through some of the passing movement and the movement of the players. So what I'm going to do is go out to the ball playing defender first of all. As you can see, you've kind of got that W shape formed at the bottom now where the inverted wing backs are tucked in. So the ball will move up to the playmaker. As you can see now, you've got two inverted wing backs and the two central midfielders are kind of doubled up there now, and the trequartista has dropped in. So what you've got there is a nice diamond formed, but you're kind of overloaded on both sides. It makes the centre midfielder really hard to mark two players. So what can happen as well is, other players can move around. So got the Trek will move around here. He kind of roams, so you can go left to right as needed, depending on what way the build up goes. And as you can see there, we've got advanced playmaker could always drop in, and you could just have a diamond kind of form like that. That could happen either side, but the Mazzala is more likely to stay out wider. Advanced playmaker is more likely to drop in with the deeper playmaker stays back. So, as you go forward there, usually either the Mazzala or the advanced playmaker can switch play out to one of the wingers. And then as you can see there, you've got two passing options inside there, or options for cutbacks. You've got the Trek in the middle now. He's made his way into the middle. Usually, number 21 on the other side, he'd probably start heading towards the goal already. But, so we could get a cutback inside here. As that kind of happens, the advanced playmaker there, he could pick up the ball. The winger will then cut in, and then the inverted wing back, because he's got the overlap, he will cut outside there. So, again, you've got loads of options here. Trek can move around again. Mazzala can move in. Inverted wing back can move in over there. So, yeah, you've got a lot of movement, a lot of people moving into space. So, a lot of opportunity to score goals. So, I'm just going to take you through the player roles. So, back five, no instructions for them. So with the inverted wing backs, they've already got quite a few instructions. They'll roam, they'll cut inside, and then what you'll get is you'll get them getting that W. You get that W shape as they move inside there. So also, what's going to happen is, as I showed you earlier, they're going to sort of come in, going to come up wide where the winger will be there. Okay, so you get a lot of movement from the inverted wing backs. So it's quite a nice role to play, and then with the overlap, it kind of just adds that dynamic of being able to cut inside, cut outside while the winger moves around. So the deep lane playmaker, he's got no instructions either, but it's just support role, so he'll move up. And the advanced playmaker, like I said before, he could sometimes move around if the deep line playmaker stays deeper. The Mazzala again, just move into channels, as we know, so you do that as usual. And then the winger, they'll start in that sort of higher part of the field, they'll start moving inside as well. So advanced playmaker, we're going to be going for, more direct passes. so he can switch the ball. So, switch the ball to the other side is a good trait to have for him. Mazzala's got no instructions. So the trick, also, no other instructions, already got quite a few. You can't add any pressing instructions. We're just putting on close down more on both wingers. So with the wingers as well, we want that option of, cutting inside without having to use, so we use traits rather than using a roll. So if you use inverted winger, it doesn't really work with the inverted wing back. So we just go for cuts inside from whatever wing they're playing on. So yeah, just ignore this sort of like this major issues here. The Trek will definitely drop in. He'll definitely roam around in that area. So we've gone for a positive mentality, and here's some of the instructions now. So as you can see, there's a setup there. Got a lower tempo, trying to just keep the ball, just trying to move it around. So the reason I went for 2 playmakers there, and the Mazzala's kind of a playmaker, so we can kind of keep the ball between them, move everyone around, and then we just use a bit of width, more direct passing. So with that, what we can do, just keep that, move the ball around. The wide men will get into space, and we can kind of just put the ball out to them. When they got that there, so Ajax, they used to sort of like to get the ball in an area and sort of be able to take a player on one-on-one. So it's perfect for the wingers. Yeah, they'll be able to take on the fullbacks and either do cut-ins, cutbacks, or just sort of low crosses across the box. So again, we're using the overlaps. So the overlaps will obviously make the inverted wing backs move outside. So they'll start off here in the middle, and then they'll move outside as that winger moves in. So also with the overlap, so it just not just for the overlaps, it also affects the mentality of the wing back as well. So as you can see there, he's on attacking. If you took that off and go back, you can see now his mentality is only positive, so he wouldn't get forward as much, and also he wouldn't get out wide. So we want to use that overlap to force the mentality up. And then also then what you're going to get is, the AP there moving into that space. So, we go for the low crosses because we want to get the cutback. So I left everything below that blank, more expressive to keep the positional switching. So, I left the whole shaper and counter as blank. Wasn't really bothered about either. I thought counter was rushing forward too much. Hold shape took a bit too long. Counter press is definite. We want to try and win the ball back, like we said in the principles. We're trying to pin the players up in the half. Centre back, so we distribute the ball to centre back. So what we do is we end up moving the centre backs back slightly, allowing room for the deep playmaker to come in and receive the ball. So we've got a high line of engagement, high defensive line. I mean, you could go much higher, but it makes it even more risky. So I think higher is fine. With all the roles and the mentality, you'll be up in that area. So we want these 3 years, more to press the defenders rather than the goalkeeper. So we've left prevent goalkeeper distribution. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Opposite instructions, I would ask all of them to sort of close down the defenders more. Especially as the Trek. He doesn't really. He can press, but he doesn't. You can't add these pressing instructions in to get him closing down more. So that definitely helps. And then the positive mentality, and then I'll just leave this neutral here. So as you can see, that's just slightly more urgent. If that was balanced, that would just be standard, but with the positive, it affects the line there a little bit as well. But with the positive mentality, pushes everything up a little bit, and you've got the counter press. You've got the split block created with the close down more on each of the winger, and the Trek doing a little bit of pressing. So yeah, you've got enough pressing going on there. You don't need to have the more urgent. It will just get everyone running all over the place. So set pieces here. I don't know why that keeps changing. So as you can see, what you'd want is just move him out, change him to mark tall player. You want him on, and then we pull the other one back in and just have him man marking again. So that's a pretty solid corner setup. And then we just got pretty standard free kicks really. And then just a standard throwing routine. I'm not really got anything too special going on with throw-ins or anything. I don't really do long throws. So and that's about it really. So yeah, there's no sort of major issues I've found. Maybe just you can get caught out if you've got some slower defenders, which I try and avoid really. I'm in my 5th season now, so I've got most of the players with the attributes that I want to have. The only ones who haven't are just young players I'm developing at the moment, so they can get away with it a little bit more if you just play them about sort of 15 games a season. It doesn't really matter too much. So yeah, and as I said, I'm in season 5 now, halfway through. Won the league 4 times, won the cups 4 times. Reached Champions League final 3 times. I lost it on penalties once, and I've won the last 2, including I won 4-1 in the final against Manchester United, with Taylor scoring a brace. It was quite nice to see someone who was 17 at the start of the career score 2 in the Champions League final. And then so I've had the sort of 4 seasons I've kind of been tinkering with it. So I've had some different roles that I've used. Initially I was using a halfback where the DLP was. I've used a regista. I've used a roaming playmaker where the advanced playmaker was, and that works quite well. The regista works well as well. Inside forwards I was using at the top. I tried them at the start because I wanted something that came inside, but the winger with the cuts inside trait works better. The mentality on inside forwards is very attacking, so they'll just kind of rush off, and it's not really total football when it's sort of just, you want it kind of being moved around. You don't want just a couple of players just rushing off on their own. And then I was using an F9, so that was my initial setup. And then I sent a small document saying kind of what I wanted to do and my tactic over to Bust the Net. And a couple of things I was struggling with to get happening. And he made some suggestions. So he suggested using the wingers because of their lower mentality, and using the Trek because of his ability to roam and the fact that he drops in further than an F9, and probably that I wanted an extra playmaker just to keep the ball in the centre of the field a little bit more with the lower tempo. And then the short passing does work well. He suggested using the more direct passing with the shorter, with the lower tempo combined. He uses it in quite a lot of his tactics I've seen on the stream. They work really well. So a lot of the initial setup was by me, but Bust the Net really helped me out with the sort of finalising it, and I've had better. I was getting good results before, but I've had better results since I've done them few tweaks. So using it online, it works quite well as well. So I've used it in fantasy drafts. I don't really usually play online saves, take quite long, but I'll do fantasy drafts. I've won quite a few tournaments just using this tactic. So yeah, definitely worth a try. If you've got any comments or any suggestions, please leave in the comments. Try it out. Let me know how you get on with it. If you've got anything you think you could add to it, let me know. And like and subscribe. Hopefully I'll get out some other videos soon. I've got another Johan Cruyff tactic I've done as well. It's pretty much the same principle, but I use 3 defenders and an attacking midfielder instead. So it's a lot more top heavy and a lot more riskier at the back. So I'll do a video on that soon. Take care, everyone.